All right.
Is it okay?
Yeah, that's good to go.
All right.
So this is like about inspiring people. I'm Mark Ellis. I'm a comedian. Laughter is such a great icebreaker. You can get a laugh. It lets everyone know, hey, we're all in this together. Whether we agree or we disagree, we're all just trying to make it. We're all just trying to get through whatever this thing that I'm talking about is. So it brings a spirit of togetherness in a way that a lot of modern day interactions do not. So I was born in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and I got to spend about 6 weeks there and then moved to Maryland, to Florida, back to Maryland, to New Jersey, to California, back to Maryland, and finally Virginia. And somewhere in that gestation period, I realized that, hey, you know what? Being on my own, traveling, staying in hotels, and eating at Denny's every Friday, it's not a bad way to live. And that's pretty much how I live now. And I also got a sense of being comfortable without having a lot of friends, because you're moving all the time. So you have your brother and your sister, you got some pets, you got your mom and your dad, and that's really who you're dealing with the bulk of the time. And so not only do you get comfortable being isolated, you also get comfortable having to meet new people and having to make an impression on them fairly quickly. So every time school started, it was a new crop of kids, and I have to fit in somewhere. So I think that I picked up on the fact that, hey, if I can make people laugh, then maybe I can be invited to birthday parties. My barometer was always, if I get invited to a party or I get invited to something outside of school by Halloween, then I'm doing okay. If you are in a conversation with other kids and they're asking you, what are you going to be for Halloween? That meant I was doing something right. I was on a good track for the next 2 or 3 years until we had to move again. So laughter had always been a big part of my life. My family, to this day, we have a great time when we're together. We're a very close-knit family, even though we're very spread out across the United States. Whenever we hang out, it's always a lot of laughs. It's always a lot of jokes at each other's expense. It's a roast. It's a full-on comedy roast in the most lovable sort of fashion. And when I was a kid, I started to gravitate towards comedians like Eddie Murphy and Robin Williams. I remember trying to stay up after my parents went to bed so I could sneak downstairs and tape Eddie Murphy Raw. Eddie Murphy Raw had just debuted on Showtime, and it was like this mysterious thing that you heard about. There were whispers in recess about there's this comedian named Eddie Murphy, and he was on SNL back in the day. We didn't call it SNL. It actually used to be called Saturday Night Live until, Kentucky Fried Chicken had to become KFC. We had to shorten everything. Eddie Murphy Raw was the biggest thing that nobody ever got a chance to see because it was super dirty, super rated R, and it always came on late at night. And so I remember staying up late and finally got to see like 5 minutes of it before I fell asleep. I got in trouble for taping it the next day. But man, that 5 minutes was like, this guy, he's saying whatever he wants, and it is hilarious. And then I saw Robin Williams live at the Met a few years later, and he's just running around on stage doing so many crazy things. It seems like it's all coming right off the top of his head in that moment. The audience is dying laughing. And I remember thinking, this is what I should be doing.
And I've never bought myself a new car, so I'm pumped. I get to the dealership. The very first thing the guy shows me in the car is he walks me out to it, and he pops the trunk. And he's like, hey, dude, check this out. Inside the trunk, there's a handle you can pull in case you get locked in your trunk. And I'm like, bro, that's going to ruin my dating life. Are you serious right now? They can just free themselves anytime they think the evening's over?
It's been an interesting ride for me because since I started Schmoes Know, the show I do with my buddy Christian Harloff, where we review movies and we like to talk about pop culture kind of things, and now we do the movie trivia Schmoedown, and the geek culture has really kind of been the yin and yang of my professional occupation, where I tell jokes on stage and I get to talk about movies, and when those two unite, it's a lot of fun because I get audiences that know me from talking about movies or talking about geek culture online, that now I get to tell jokes about that in real life. And a lot of times comedy club audiences, it's hard to make them understand what exactly is funny about Thor putting on 60 pounds or Thanos being a giant purple god. They don't always get as deep as we can. So the fact that I can bring an audience to a comedy club that knows me and that knows the same things that I know, that has the same interests as me, it really opens up a lot of wells for me to be able to write jokes. Because it's such a politically divisive time, especially in the United States right now, where, my mantra when I'm on stage is I want to make people laugh. And I think that that's the unifying power of comedy, is that it can bring a different set of ideals from the comic to the audience. But if you can make them laugh, maybe you can make them start to understand what your perspective is. Because as far back as the history of comedy can go, it's about people pushing limits, testing waters, and trying to go beyond the bounds of what jest you would expect from a comedy show. You look at people like Lenny Bruce, people like Richard Pryor, who would really get personal, would be intense, but would also have things to say about society. And sometimes that is what leads to change. It's not always angry people shouting at each other on Twitter. Sometimes if you can have an intelligent exchange of ideas, it can actually lead to a real shift. Shifting paradigms in the world, and maybe it doesn't start with a stand-up stage, but it's a way for us to at least vent. That's the key with stand-up, is that it really isn't just me telling you jokes. It's me saying things and gauging the response. I'm there to entertain you. I'm paid to entertain you. And if I can make you think a little bit, then that's more than just doing my job. That's actually getting the art side of it as well. So that's where business, commerce, but artistic endeavor can all meet in the middle. That's why stand-up is the best live form you can go see, because it really is dependent on the audience. The audience can determine how the show goes. Just don't try to do it too much. And you vote with your laugh. That's all I got. I'm out of talking about stand-up. Thanks for having me on the show, and for everybody that's ever seen me or will see me out there, I appreciate your patronage. It's okay if you don't laugh. It's okay if you disagree with me. I appreciate having the dialogue, because you are the reason why I get to call myself a comic. Thank you, and I'll do my best to continue to be in relationships that warrant a lot of jokes.
Can I say one thing about you?
I guess we'll allow.
All right, I can't let you close it out. I'm sure everybody out there knows, but from a producing standpoint, and I think from the standpoint of anybody that works in this office, Mark Ellis, you could see it on camera, but he is truly a freaking ray of sunshine when he walks into this office. Always has the best attitude. He's game for anything. Seriously, stop laughing. You really do have a great effect on this office, and that's why we're so close. That's why we work so well together.